everybody, it's Fresco Kino. So this is Excel 6 lecture, and I edited down some of the stuff because obviously it's from last semester, and I just tried to make it so you see mainly the demonstration part of Excel 6, managing your workbook and protecting it. So enjoy the show. So these are the major objectives to come away with today. Kind of like viewing and looking at the spreadsheet in different ways. Sometimes you have, a lot of times the spreadsheet is very large. So the idea of isolating the information is important and kind of focusing, protecting the worksheet. So why would I want to protect it? Protect it from what? How about Alejandra? We're going to go backwards today. Alejandra, good morning. Are you here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Why would you want to protect a worksheet or a workbook in Excel?
Yeah, you would want to do that so people don't mess around with the information you already put there.
Good.
So they can edit parts that you don't protect, but they can't edit the parts that you do.
Great. So I may want to protect the whole thing and just say, don't change anything. Maybe it's just for viewing only, right? Or I may want to actually protect certain parts of it so that other people can enter data. They can do data entry, but they can't do things like change the formula or something like that. So for instance, you can enter in the hours you worked, but you can't give yourself a raise. Let's say, right, you have a timesheet kind of thing. So, you can enter in the hours you worked each day, but you can't go in and change your hourly rate. Okay, save custom views of a worksheet. How about, I think it's Ching is the next person. Are you here this morning?
I am here. Can you hear
Good
me?
morning. Yes, I can, absolutely. So what about saving custom views? What do you think? What do you think that means, or how can that be useful in a real world situation?
I never used that before, but
Hmm, it's good.
looking by it, I guess it's
Yeah,
just to make it more unique, save custom.
yeah, it's like a custom view. So the idea again, it's all about focus. So maybe I have say 5 quarters, but I want to have a separate view for each quarter, right? So that I can see, like, say, the last quarter of, last year, and then I can see the 4 quarters of this year. And maybe I want to have a view that just shows, each one by quarter. So that maybe during a presentation, I can have people, well, let's take a look at, next month or whatever, you know what I mean? So you don't have to have a huge amount of data in front of them. You can say, we're just going to look at this small portion at this point. So that's what a custom view is. It just kind of, put certain stuff on stage and the other stuff is hidden. It's still there, obviously, and you can still do the math and everything else is there, but it's just a different view of it that allows typically in a presentation kind of format, you can print a different view, right? So instead of printing the whole thing of millions of cells, you can say, well, let me just, isolate the month's data and then I'll print it that way. So that would be a good reason for using a custom view. It has screen settings, but it also has print settings in there. Good. Thank you, Jane. Nice work. Corral, how about the next one there? Prepare a workbook for distribution. This one is a little more abstract.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. What might you do when you prepare for distribution?
I think it's like maybe if you have to print it out for like a meeting or something so that it doesn't look like an Excel file, it looks more like a worksheet so that like when people receive it, is it something like that, like print it out?
Yeah, that could work. Typically what you'd want to do would be to definitely set up those print settings. I think we looked at a couple of them last week. You may want to have it portrait, right? Or you may want to have it landscape so that it looks nicer. And then the idea of, headings, and maybe you want to do some page breaks, right, in certain areas. You don't want to break, certain lists, just like in a Word resume, right? You don't want to break your bulleted list between jobs. You want to maybe, make a page break before a job or something like that. This way it stays together. So that would be another thing you could do. One thing that's popular is making what's called a read-only file, right? So that this way, again, you can make a version that's read-only that doesn't really, invite people at least to make changes. So when you make it a read-only, sometimes it's called mark as final. It's easier to do on the Windows side, but I'll show you, obviously you can do it on the Mac side too. It's not bulletproof. Someone can just resave it and go in there and change things. But at least you have this thing where it's opens as a read-only file, so that right away you can just view it, but you can't change it. Other things you can do is save it as an HTML file, so you can distribute it as a web page. That might be very useful for people who don't have Excel, right? They can open it up and view it as a web page. So all kinds of things that you can do to distribute it. Also adding metadata. So things like search terms. So for instance, you could add, kind of terms, keywords in there so that when people are searching for it, they can find it based on those keywords, maybe annual report or quarter two or a certain year or something like that. So I'll show you how you can do that in both well, at least I'm going to show you more on the Mac side, obviously, but it's a little easier even if you do it on the Windows side. All right, very nice. So hyperlinks, I think we know, and it's similar in Excel than it was to Word. We don't have to go crazy for that. It says save workbook for distribution again. I guess we're good with that once. Prepare and save, more or less the same thing. Group worksheet data and group worksheets. Anybody have an idea about that? Why you'd want to do that? Group. Simple thing, actually. Typically, it's to do similar formatting things. So when you group the worksheet, you can do something like change the margin on every sheet, or group all the tabs at the bottom, and then do something like add a footer, to every page, or add a hyperlink to every page. And then the other thing for grouping inside the actual data, for grouping the data, would be things like creating, and this is actually very useful, creating things like subtotals or averages, and I'll show you that in today's project. So you can kind of analyze the data and say, well, okay, who's the best, who's the worst, what's our average, what's our lowest, what's our highest, all those kind of things. Add them all together, whatever. Okay? So I think, these terms probably are pretty similar. The idea of freezing and hiding is also interesting. And again, this comes with, big spreadsheets, and you want to freeze one row or one column because it may be the one that you want. Let's say you have everybody's name in the first row, and then you have all kinds of other things, data about them. Well, you may want to freeze that first row when you scroll through all the other data so you can still see their names. Make sense? So I might have like more than I can fit on the screen. I can see their address, their date of birth, their social, or, whatever, and then all of a sudden it goes off the screen. But if I start scrolling, I just see information, like the last time they purchased, but I don't see their name. So I want to freeze that first row or first column or something like that. Okay. I don't know if it's in the A project, but it is in the book it's probably in the B project, the idea of adding a background picture in there. So what would be the use of that? How about Alexis? Why would I want to add maybe some kind of picture to the background of my Excel sheet? Any idea?
Maybe like a logo or something?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So some kind of, brand image or something like that. I mean, you don't want something, sometimes when you do this too, it can be a little bit, because it does this thing where it starts, tiling them. So you may want to make sure you're adding something that's very watermarked. You can kind of lighten it up first in, Photoshop, or even just in Word, make it light first and then bring it into Excel. But the idea is that you're branding the page so that people will see, this is, from this company or whatever, and they can, kind of have that brand image while they're reading the invoice or the annual report or whatever. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it. The idea of the instance too is, when you look at an Excel sheet, each one is an instance. So I might have a different view, I might have a split, I might have frozen panes. So obviously it's the same sheet, but the idea of looking at it in all these different ways are these instances. All right, so let's dive in. With that under our belt, here is Excel. Okay, so let's open up our most recent file, which I guess is this guy. And I was just, no, that doesn't look like the file, actually, I'm sorry. Again, it's me thinking I'm in another class, I guess. You guys in my advanced class. All right, so it's MusicBot, which is some kind of music and CD service, and they sell all kinds of, you know, vintage vinyl and anything you can kind of get in recorded music. So we look at the sheet over here, you can see right away the first quarter is locked. And then we have some, oh, we're missing the third quarter. So that must be hidden, right? So there's certain things going on here that, you know.
Professor?
Yes.
Are you sharing your screen?
Am I not
again,
sharing? I'm looking at Excel. You're not seeing it? Hang on a second. Let me just make sure that I am sharing.
I see like the module objective still, but maybe that's just me.
No, you should maybe refresh your page. Maybe let me just refresh the share this way. Because yeah, you should be looking at an Excel sheet actually at this point. Hang on 1 second. Okay, so you should be seeing my screen, right? And now if I open up Excel.
Yeah, now I see it. Thank you.
You see it. Yeah, sometimes there might be a little bit of lag or something like that in there. So that's the support file. We don't want that. You don't really even need to see this yet. I'm actually going to close this file. Here it is. Okay, so I was saying like the quarter one is locked, quarter three is missing. So some things are going on there. So let's look at the instruction. So Kendra is your senior producer at MusicBot, and you know, you just got a job there and you want to look good, and you know, you basically told her in the interview that, you know, you knew Excel pretty well, and she's a little nervous because, you know, she knows the music industry, but she's not that great in Excel. So she's looking for someone to help her, you know, make some reports to investors and, you know, let them know what's going on. So the first thing we want to take a look at is the quarter one sheet, which is protected. So what does that mean? It means if I go in here and I try to change the data, I'm trying to type, right? If I look at the cell, it tells me that the sheet is locked, basically. So I can't change anything. Everything is kind of locked in there. The data is pretty steadfast. As soon as I try to edit it or enter something, I get a warning right away. So I can see it right there that it's locked. And first thing we want to do, obviously, is to unprotect it so we can get in there. So the way to do that on the Mac side is under here, under Format Cells, the Cells group in the Home tab, and then go to Format, and you can see Unprotect Sheet. Okay, so when you click on that, then the lock goes away, and now I can actually go in there and I can change this data. Okay, you can see it accepted that change now. So the sheet is unlocked. Okay, I undid it so we got the data back. Okay, so remember it's Home, and then in Cells, Format, and then Unprotect. Now it says Protect, obviously. You can also do this if you control click. You'll get the shortcut menu, and there's Format Cells again. I like Format Cells because it's typically one-stop shopping. Here you can see everything, so you can do things like set up, you know, the numbers, alignment, fonts, borders, fills, protection, and obviously in protection, here we go again. You can see that there's certain cells that might be locked or hidden, and other ones that are. Now, so even if it says locked here, they won't be locked until you then go back and protect the sheet. So it can say locked, but until the sheet is protected, you know, you're really not going to get that benefit of it being locked, like a two-step process, two-step verification. Okay, so now she wants to focus on quarter one.
Professor, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I can't find the cells in my version of Excel.
Are you using a Mac?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go to the Home tab, do you see, like if you look at my screen now, right, I'm in the Home tab. So it's clipboard, font, alignment, number, styles, and then cells.
Yeah, I don't see
you
it.
don't see
That's why I was like, I don't know what to do.
Okay, you are seeing my screen though, right?
Yeah.
So maybe do this. If you go to View, hang on a second, let me make sure we have this here. Custom Views, Excel. Yeah, so if you go to the preferences and then go to view, you can make sure that you have the group titles on. See that? So I'm going to take the group titles off there. And see, now it's a little harder to figure out what's going on. But is that why you don't, but you just don't see this group right here? Valentina, insert delete format.
It's like it doesn't let me click it.
But they just grayed out. You have to be maybe, you know, on a cell in
I
the
got it
sheet.
now.
Got it. Okay, great. So I'm just going to go back in there. If you don't have those, you know, bottom titles on there, they're very useful, obviously. So just go to the preferences and then go to view and check that in ribbon show group titles. I like that to be there, obviously. Okay, so now they're back. So remember, there's more than one way to skin a cat typically. So even if you didn't see this by control clicking, that's what I'm doing here, right? Control clicking on a cell, I can get the format cells right from here too. Okay, and you know, depending on where you are, if I control click on a row, see I can get the row height. More or less, I can almost do everything without seeing the ribbon if I, you know, use the control click too. So if you see something weird, see like now this is, you know, grayed out. A lot of times it's contextually related to where you are in the sheet. See, now that I clicked on this, now I can see that these guys are available. So this is what I call massaging it. Sometimes it's not really working. Just try to like take a step backwards, click around a little bit. A lot of times it'll reveal itself then. Okay, good. So let's go to the next step here. So she wants to focus on Q1 and she wants to create a custom view. All right, so the idea is she wants to focus on the CDs and vinyl. Maybe she's going to show this and she doesn't want people to even, you know, be distracted by all this other stuff. So we're going to hide all these rows. Okay, so hide all of the rows from 3 to 20. And the way I did that is just selected the rows and dragged them out like that. And now I'm going to control click again. And you can see hide and unhide are here. So when I click hide, it says goodbye to all of that data. But of course, remember the data is there. You can see this little line here and see that, you know, the numbers obviously jump. So it's just that we're kind of making a different view here, right? So now with that, like that, what we're going to do is, it says go to G1. I don't know why it says that, but we'll go there. And then it says we're going to go to make a custom view. So again, in the Mac side, what you want to do is go to view. And you can see the workbook views in their group here. We're in a normal view right now, but we're going to go to the custom views. Okay, so this view has already been recorded, and that's basically everything. And what we want to do right now is add a new view. And, you know, this is going to be the new view. And obviously, you know, it's important to do the same name that they say. You cannot use spaces in these kind of things. So with the view that they say is going to be CD and then underscore vinyl. Good. Okay, so that'll include print settings too. So in other words, if we go to this view and print it, we're not going to see the whole thing. We're going to, you know, just do that. You can change it if you want, obviously, if you want to see the hidden ones. Okay, so there we go. We have our separate view there. And now when you go to views, you can see both views are there and you can go back and forth from one to the other. Okay? So there's the full view and here's the CD vinyl only view. And obviously you could have lots of different views, right? You can set up all kinds of different views. So everybody good with that? Pretty straightforward stuff, right? So the next thing now is to display the Q1 worksheet using custom views. Okay, we did that. We went back to it. And then she's hidden the Q3 worksheet. But now she wants to see it. So anybody have an idea of how we can get that back? How about Solanise?
Sorry,
Yes.
can
Don't
you
be
just
sorry.
show me how, can you just show me how you got the previous view back again?
Yes, absolutely. I went back to view. Okay, go back to the view tab and then custom views. When you click on custom views, you will see all of the views that you've created. Right? So remember, this is the one that was originally there with everything, and this is the one that we created. So if I click on the one that we created, which is this one, and go to show, it'll narrow it down to just the CDs and vinyl. Good? Now, if I want to go back to the original view, same thing. We go there. Here's the original view that was created in the raw file. and just say show. Okay, you can actually delete views if you want to edit them or add new views with a plus and minus. You can have a longer list or a shorter list. Okay, so now we're back to the full view. And then the next thing she wants to do now is to reveal the Q3 workbook. So looking at some of the cues that we already had, so Lenise, what would you say I need to do to get Q3 back? Any ideas? You want to take a shot at it? What has been one of our other favorite things of seeing a pop-up menu? You are here, right, Solanise? Say hello.
Hi. Oh, sorry.
Good
I
morning.
wasn't sure if you were calling on me.
Yes. So what do you think? If I want to see Q3, what would you say? What would you suggest that I do here?
If you want to see Q3?
Yeah, see, I see Q1, 2, and then jumps right to 4. So where's 3? How am I going to see it? It's hidden. So think about some of the other things we did before. What was one of the key things that I showed you? If you're on a PC, you can right click. If you're on a Mac, you can control click.
Yeah, I usually double click as well. So
Okay.
with the Mac
Let's see
as
if that
well.
works. You can double click. Well, double click just takes me there. But I know what you mean. Sometimes double click, it depends on where you are. But control click in this case will show you that you can do things with the sheets here. I can make new sheets, rename them, move them around, change color. Here's hide and unhide. So if I go to unhide, bingo, there's the hidden sheet that's again built right in here. So we say okay, and lo and behold, there it is, Q3. Okay, so we see that sheet. They sometimes look a little bit the same. Make sure you know where you are. You can see that they are slightly different, but there are things going on. And one thing that's going on in this Q3 sheet is that the first column is frozen. And if you look over here, see you can freeze and unfreeze. You can freeze the top row or the first column. Watch what happens when I scroll the worksheet. See that? So when I scroll it, only everything past A is moving. A is locked, it's frozen. So again, if this was everybody's name and here was all their information, I want their name to stay there when I scroll the information. So basically what I'm doing is just adding a freeze here. So if you select the column that you want and then click freeze, you will lock it so that it won't scroll. Somebody have a question in the background there? I heard a little ding. All right, so let's go to the next step. And anytime you have a question, all you have to do is open your mic and ask your question. So we added that. Now I'm just want to see where I am here. So we added the third quarter. Okay, so we looked at how we can freeze and unfreeze.
Professor, I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
I see where that is, but it says in the instructions to unfreeze it. But when you click on, so my only option is unfreeze pane or freeze the first. So should I click that?
No, don't do anything yet. Don't do anything yet. Well, what we want to do is unfreeze it. Yes, we want to unfreeze it. So yeah, I don't want to confuse you. It's already frozen. So the raw file it's already frozen. So I was just demonstrating what we meant by being frozen when you see that happening. And now we are going to unfreeze it. So when we unfreeze it, you see that line goes away. And now when we scroll it, so does everything goes away. So A goes with it. Yeah, so everything was right. You just want to unfreeze it with that.
Wait,
okay?
Good. My connection was messing up. Can you show me again how to unhide Q3?
Yes, absolutely. So everything that happens with the tabs, not everything, but in general, if you right click or control click, so if I wanted to hide it again, I'm going to control click on it, and you can see hide is available in this pop-up menu. So click on hide, and there it goes, 1, 2, 4. So 3 is missing. Now, obviously, to get it back, you can click on any sheet tab, control click, and then you can get unhide, and it's going to show you all of the hidden sheet tabs. In this case, there's only Q3 that's hidden, so we'll just go back to OK with that one selected, and lo and behold, it is revealed again. Good. So then we did the freeze and unfreeze. So again, if you have a row or a column selected and you freeze it, then when you scroll, you'll see that that one will lock up, and it will not slide through. It will be frozen. Okay, and then we can unfreeze it. Okay, so let's just see where we are now. I'm sorry, because I lose my space. Okay, so we got Q3, we unfroze. Okay, now we're up to number 5. Remember, you don't have to blindly follow. You can always look at it later. Sometimes you might get a little lost. I'd rather you just watch. But if you're following along, don't get lost too much into it, then you miss the next step. So the company recently changed its name. So she wants to change the name on all of the sheets. So you can see on each sheet, it says MusicBot Online. So instead of maybe I have 20 sheets, I don't want to go through this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group them together. And it's very simple. All you do is shift click. So see that? I got 1 and 2, and now I go to 3. Let me just do it from scratch here. I don't know why it won't let me do. Let me unselect them all. Okay, so let's start with 1 selected, and I'm going to shift click 2, shift click 3, shift click 4, shift click current month. And now any edits I make will happen on all the sheets. So I may want to add a logo, write something like that. It'll be on all the sheets. In this case, they changed the name just to MusicBot. So I'm deleting that. And now you'll notice that when I look at the other sheets, here's on sheet 2, it's been edited. Okay, so it's just a time saver. See, we're on different sheets. Now it's MusicBot. So they all share that. Yes?
You literally click shift and click?
You hold down the shift key, select the first quarter, then hold down the shift key while you select each sheet. And that groups them together. So now you can see they are grouped because they have, see, documentation is not in the group. It looks a little grayer, but the group ones are brighter. They have the white background. So it'll allow us to do any changes, like if we want to change the margins or have grid lines or something like that. We don't have to do it individually sheet by sheet. We can just group them together. So in this case, we change the name, and we're also going to now, with them grouped, do 2 more things. We're going to add a fill to this. So it really doesn't matter which one you're on, actually. It'll work on any of them. So we're going to go to A1. And this has also been merged. You can see that. It looks like it's A, B, C, D, but it's really only A1 because it's been merged and centered. And what we're going to do now, and let me see, you can see that actually over here. This is merge and center. Okay, so we're going to go to the fill, and we're going to give it the orange 80%, which is this guy. Okay, and you'll see that later on they're all like that, right? They all have that orange. And then the next step is with them still grouped, set a 1-inch custom margin at the top. So how would I do that, Victoria? What would my steps be to set the margins in Excel?
Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. So, go to view. No. Page layout.
Exactly.
And
okay,
then,
so page layout, right. We got margins here, and we want a custom margin of 1 inch at the top. So here's the top margin, and you just usually can use, if it's an even number, like, they go by 1/4 inch, you can usually nail it with that. Okay, so there's our margins, and this is also the standoff for the header and footer is there. That's the distance from, the top of the page. So we're going to have a little distance there, and that should do it. Okay, so let's do that. And that's pretty much it. Now we're going to ungroup the sheets. You got to make sure you ungroup them for the next step. I missed that last time because the next step won't work when they're grouped. So to ungroup them, you just click on another sheet. Okay, now they're ungrouped. But you'll notice as I go through each one now, they all have the orange MusicBot instead of MusicBot Online. And, they also have, yes?
Mine are still grouped, and I had this issue in the other module. How do you do it on a Mac? Yeah, how do you ungroup them on a Mac?
How do you ungroup them? Try clicking on the documentation tab just by itself, because that one wasn't grouped, right?
Okay, that worked. Thank you.
That worked, yeah. Okay, and I'm just, there's probably other ways to do it too. You probably do it somewhere in the menu. I mean, in the ribbon here. I have to figure it out. But they're, something else we're going to be under, group and ungroup kind of things. Okay, so we're up to number 8. So now she wants to add a hyperlink. She wants to add a couple of them, actually. So the first one she wants to do is right here in A27. She wants to be able to link from page to page, which makes sense, right? So you might want to be like presenting this and just click on it, and it'll, group to the next sheet, or a link to the next sheet. So in this case, we're going to do what she says here. She wants 1/4 2 as the text. Now, you don't want to highlight this. It didn't work as well. I know when I was trying to highlight it. Just make sure the cell is active. When the cell is selected, don't highlight the actual text. And now if you go to insert, there's the link. Okay, so you click on that. And I'm just going to run through this real quick with you. I know you guys know this already, but here's the actual text that you're going to display. You can have a screen tip in there. And she wants a screen tip, I think. It's going to say next quarter.
Professor, I have a question.
Yes.
So you're on quarter one, right?
I'm on quarter one right now, yes.
And
got to ungroup them. Got to make sure you ungroup them.
The view, because isn't for the quarter one the view supposed to be only the CDs and vinyl? But
no. We remember we returned back to the original view.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You got to return back to the original view, or else you won't see it, obviously.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like I noticed that in the book, they'll put you through hoops. It's like, do this, now undo it. So obviously they show you how to do it, and then you go back, to get rid of it. So we've got our screen tip, right? What did you say here? It's going to be, what is our screen tip going to be? Next quarter, right? Just open your mic. You have a question. Okay, next quarter, and then
Valid.
say it again.
Mine says reference invalid. When you put in A27, do you use the hyperlink that says this document? Like.
Yes. Yeah, you will do it. Hang on a second. Why don't you just wait for me to do it, because you're getting ahead of me now.
Oh wait,
so
I figured it out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Take your time. Like I said, it's easy, but take your time. Let's do it together. So this way, it'll be easier. If you get ahead of me, then I get a little lost too. Okay, so I just wanted to point out that obviously you can link to a web page or a file. So later on, we'll link to that file that we downloaded. We can link to a different web page. We can link somewhere in this document. Obviously, that's what we want to do here, right? And then we can link to an email address. So here, the cell reference is that we want to go to A1 in quarter two. Okay, so then click on OK, and you can see it looks like a hyperlink now, right? And now when I click on it, bingo, it took us to A1, and we're on the sheet 2 now, quarter 2 sheet, right? So that worked. Let's go back to A1, and the next thing is the MusicBot website. This does not work. I already informed them the site is not available. So, I would say just type it in for the grading thing. It should do it right. It should grade you right, at least. So again, with this cell selected, we're going to go to Insert Links, and A28, we're going to do MusicBot example.com, unless I was typing something wrong. So we'll go to web page here, and then I'm going to type it exactly the way they have it, www.musicbot.example.com. Okay, no screen tip is required for this one, so we're just going to do it, and when I click on it, it goes to the browser, but then it says the site can't be reached. So I informed them about it. Somebody was having a more major problem, but I just, as a little side thing, said, and by the way, your website isn't working, and she said she was going to address it. But so if I need to edit this, what could I do here? How about Leah? Let's say I want to put the FIT website in there just to make sure it works. Leah, are you here?
Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
My mic.
So good morning, Leah.
Good morning.
So what could I do to edit this? What's the easiest way to edit the hyperlink? Again, it's the thing we've been doing for a while here.
I know. It's you like right click it. I know.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're on a Mac, you can on a PC, you can right click it. If you have, I guess you can right click it too. You can use your 2 fingers on a trackpad. I think that'll do a right click, but I usually just have the habit of control clicking it. And here we go. I'm looking for edit hyperlinks. I can remove the hyperlink. I can open it. In this case, I'm going to edit it. Just to make sure that it's actually working, I'm just going to put in our FIT website here. And we'll live with that. And just to make sure that it actually works. And you can see it does work. Okay, so something is wrong with their URL. But like I said, for your project, just put in their URL for now, because I think the grading engine will see that and mark it correctly. Okay, And then the other thing that you want to do is then link to an email address. So maybe, you know, oh, I'm having a question about this. I don't know if I want to, you know, invest unless I have this question answered. So I need to contact someone right away. And lo and behold, there's a link right here to email the person. And again, I would just do it the way they tell you. So, you know, you can obviously do it here too. I'm control clicking, go to Hyperlink, and it says contact her and then email address. I found this didn't work either. So, but you can, you know, enter it in there. It's KL, here she is, KL, right? A music bot example. Make sure you type it right, you know, and it'll probably get everything right. I don't think they ask for anything in the subject line, but you can even add it in here. Okay, so now we've got our 3 hyperlinks. One links to the next page in this document or next sheet. The other one links to the website, and then the other one calls up an email client to send a message. Good? Everybody happy with the links? Again, no brain surgery, right? And the other thing is it's stuff that we already looked at in Word, so it's very similar, obviously, when you look at the other programs. Okay, so now we're going to actually use the hyperlink here and go to quarter 2. That works pretty quickly, right? And then in A, she's telling you to remove this streaming hyperlink. So again, we know how to do that, right? We're going to right or control click, and there it is, remove hyperlink. And that's gone. You'll notice the formatting changes back to a normal style of formatting. It doesn't have the blue underline anymore. Okay, great. So now she is verified all the data in quarter 2, except for the data in CD and vinyl. She asks you to secure the rest of quarter 2 so that no one can change it. So let's see what's going on here. What we want to do is lock the sheet, but we want to leave this open down here, okay, so that you can change CD and vinyl, but you don't want to change anything else. Okay, so remember, it's a 2-step process when you do this. So the first thing we're going to do is with you know, the cursor just somewhere in the sheet, we're going to go to Format Cells. Okay, so that's going to be Home tab, Format Cells, and we're going to go to the Protect here. Make sure I know what I'm doing. Okay, so there it is. And you can have a password, but if you lose the password, there's no second verification. So be careful about that. Whenever you enter a password in there, make sure you don't lose the password. Okay, so what we want to do is select the range from B22 to D25, which is this. Okay, then we're going to go to Protection, Format Cells, Protection tab. Okay, and we're going to actually unlock those cells. Okay, so those are going to stay unlocked when we protect the sheet. By default, actually, it's locked. So if you protected the sheet, you'd be protecting the whole sheet. So that's why it's a 2-step process here. Here we want to say we're going to keep these guys open. We're unlocking them. Okay, so now when we do that, we should be good. And you'll notice you get like a little kind of meshes here, kind of that it's going to be unlocked. And then now we're going to protect the sheet.
Professor, was that tab under Format Cells? I don't know why I can't find it.
Yeah, it's under Format Cells, and then you go all the way down to Format Cells. So you go to the Cells group, Home tab, Cells group, Format. And then all the way down at the bottom of that pull down, there should be Format Cells. You can also see it by right or control clicking on the cells, and then Format Cells will come up. Format Cells,
and then
under
okay.
Protection,
and then lock?
You want, yeah, oh no, deselect locked. You want to keep these guys open. So remember, by default, they're locked, so just unselect locked, and you'll see what's going to happen now. So now that we protect the sheet, you'll see that, you know, those cells will still be available. So let's go to protect the sheet now. So what we're going to do is click on the make sure the sheet is selected, and then protect sheet. Okay. Okay, and we're not going to use a password. Okay, so now the sheet is protected. Watch what happens. If I go down here with the ones that are unlocked, I can change that. See how I can change it? I can change this to a different number. Ooh, sales went way up on new releases. But up here, if I try to make a change, see, it tells me that these cells are still locked. Does that make sense to everybody? So they're locked by default. So if I protect the sheet, they're all locked. So what I want to do is first I selected these cells and I went to the protection and I unlocked them so that this way I could change these guys, but I can't change the other ones. Does that make sense to everybody? That two-step kind of process?
I did that, but now my CDs and vinyl table is locked again.
It's locked, so something wasn't right probably. You got to make sure. Let's go through the process again. I'm going to just go back a step here, right? So this is the process. What you want to do is select the cells that you want to have available so that people can actually get into them. Because remember, they're all going to be blocked by default. Okay, so then if you go to the, let me unprotect the sheet actually first here. So now I want to go to format cells. And these guys, it's probably because I already did it, but normally this will come up checked already. So they're locked by default. So I want to unlock these guys. Make sure you did that because I don't think that's maybe what didn't happen. So they're unlocked and now protect the entire sheet. So now when you protect the sheet, it's going to protect the cells that you didn't actually say keep unlocked. So at this point now, I shouldn't be able to make a change up here. What happens? See, right away it tells me that it's protected. And then down here, though, I should be able to make a change. Okay, and see it accepted.
But it's still locked. I can go back and check it.
Yeah, it's probably something, something is going on like that. You got to take a couple steps back. This confused me at first, too, when I first started, doing this. But, just remember, by default, all cells are locked. So that once you add protection, you lock everything. So if you want to leave something open, the first thing you got to do is format cells, protection, and then unlock the cells that you want to have available for people to enter data in, and then protect the sheet, which will lock everything else. Good?
Professor,
yes.
So when I lock the sheet and then I highlight the CDs and vinyl table, I don't get the other option, the format option when the
format cells. I'd have to kind of look at your screen.
I locked the sheet. That was the first step, right? To lock it, and then you go back.
Well, let's just try it again. Let me demo it one more time, and then we'll see, if you guys are, comfortable with it. I think you gotta sometimes, backtrack it a little bit. So remember, the idea is that right now I can change everything, right? See, I can change anything in here. Anything I want, I can change it because the workbook is not locked. So let's delete those things. So what we want to do in essence is have these be unlocked, and then these will be locked. So if you go to just to format cells, you'll see by default, all cells are locked. But it's a little deceiving because they're really not locked until you protect the sheet. Does that make sense? So it says locked, but they're really not going to be locked until you actually protect the sheet. So in this case, what I want to do is highlight these cells down here, right, from B22 to D25, and I want to format those cells as unlocked. Okay, so I'm going to go to Format Cells. You can see they're locked by default, so I'm going to take the lock off and say OK. Now when I protect the sheet, okay, with no password. So now the sheet is protected, but see, these cells are still changeable. See, I can enter in new data here. But the ones above, if I attempt to enter new data, I get this warning message telling me that the sheet is protected. Good? It should work for you. Just try backtracking through that and making sure you do the steps the same way that I did them. So the first thing is to highlight these cells, format them as unlocked. So format cells protection, and then unlock them, and then go back over here and then protect the sheet. Good? We can go over it again if you want, but let's move on just to get through because we're almost done. There's 18 steps and we're up to number 11, I think, right? So she wants to print quarter 2 worksheet, but she wants to keep the data separate from streaming songs. So she wants to insert a page break, which is pretty simple, right? just insert a page break here. So we're going to go to quarter 2, and we're going to insert a page break right at row 21, I think, right? Yeah, row 21. So I'm going to highlight this row. And then how am I going to insert a page break? Allison? How do I insert page breaks in Excel? Any idea? Just say hello, Allison. I know I thought I saw you coming in before, right? You are here, Allison? Okay, how about Chloe? You know how to set us up for a page break here?
Do you go to insert?
Yeah, it's a good thing, you know, sometimes it might be insert page break, but it's not. It's under page layout, I believe, right? So page layout, it's in the page setup, and then you have your breaks here.
Yeah, right there.
Right, so insert page break, yeah, that's what it is. Maybe the insert kind of got to you, right? Insert. Yeah. And how do you know there's a page break there? Well, you'll see this line now. See this heavier line here? So this is a hard page break, and here is the one that Excel is just going to do because the margin runs out. It's a little dotted one. So once we get to the H column, it's going to be on page 2, but we've inserted another page break that'll be earlier than that one. And the other way that you can see that is go down to the status bar here where the views are. So if you go to the page layout view, actually, you can see. So here's the first page, and here's a page break, and there's the second page with just the CD and vinyl information on that page. Okay, so if we undo the page break, you can see everything is together now. Okay, so here, actually, I don't know if I undo the page break. Make sure I undo the page break first. I don't see it here. Hopefully I won't see it here. Okay, now we're back, right? So you see everything is on the first page and the other pages are blank. Okay, so let's just do it again. Make sure, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you are in the row where you want to break it. And in this case, it's going to be this row here, and then page layout, breaks, insert page break. Okay, you can obviously remove it in the same place. And then to verify it, I just go to the print layout view, and there it is. There's the break. Good. Let's see what's next here. So she's good with the page break. Now she wants to verify the data on quarter 3 worksheet by comparing it to the original data in another workbook. So this is where the hyperlink comes into the extra page there. So what they're telling you to do is in A26, you want to set up a link to that. So let me just say, I want to make sure I see what she's doing here. Add a hyperlink that links the support group. No, they don't tell you much other information. So weird that they don't tell you information here. So I'm just trying to think how the grading engine is looking at it. So I would actually just type it in exactly the way it is there. So it's support underscore EX19 and then underscore Mac. Be here forever with this one. Underscore, and then it's sorry, Q3 dot X LSX. Okay, it's a mouthful. The idea is then we want to make this the link, right? So you're going to go insert link, and we're going to do another file, okay? And you just have to know where the file is. That's what I was telling you. So, you know, you can use this as a kind of browse control, and here it is, you know, because I know I just downloaded it, so it's in my download folder. So create the link, say okay, and now we'll test it, and it should open up that other document. Is that not right? It's opening up something else. I must have made a mistake though. So let's edit it. Yeah, I put it in the wrong file.
Professor, I think
it asks us like to do that, but I think it wants us to write the word original data there instead of the name of.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. That's right. That's right. So thank you so much. I forgot that. So text to display. Okay. We can obviously fix that. Yeah, here it is. So here is the original data. Yeah, just make sure you put your original data in on yours. Don't put the file name like I foolishly did. Yes, I missed that line, but it is buried here in the instructions. Original data, which makes sense. And obviously, think about your audience. So if someone's reviewing this stuff and you're not there presenting to them, you got to make sure that it's pretty clear how you're guiding them to navigate through, especially hyperlinks and things like that. Good? Does that make sense to everybody? So we know where the file is. We know how to name it. And I think we're good. So now she wants to hide the Q3 worksheet. And again, just control click on it. And there's hide. Goodbye to Q3 again. And now we're up to number 14. Q4 had the highest sales in most categories. She wants to be able to focus on the totals and then switch to a detailed view in each category. Go to Q4. Okay, we got that. And what we want to do is group rows 4 to 6. Okay, group rows 4 to 6. We're going to grab those. And in order to group them now, we're going to go to data. Okay, so this is a different way of grouping them, actually. So we go to data, and you can see in the outline group here, we have group and ungroup. Okay, so by grouping them, what it does is it adds this kind of subtotals thing. And it's smart enough to know that there are other categories. So it seems that even though we just grouped these guys, it's already giving it to us for these other ones because it sees these total rows. And you can do things like, collapse them now. See that? So you can collapse them. And now you can just see the totals. And again, that might be an easier way to present it, right? It's just less information. So everybody, let's look at the totals, and then we can analyze the streaming. Oh, let's look, exactly, how it kind of came out between new releases, catalog, and exclusive. Okay, so this is called collapse and expand when you do that. Okay, so that's certainly a handy tool, again, to kind of focus attention on parts of the data, kind of like by hiding and showing different parts of it. Everybody happy with that? So we can collapse it, and now we're going to go to the current month. And the current month, the interesting thing about this, and normally when I do something like this, you always have to make sure that you sort the data, right? So I'm sorting it by sales type. So this way, you can kind of see the subtotals based on that. And they've already sorted it for you. And you guys know how to do a sort, right? You can do your sort here. So this data is pre-sorted. And what we want to do probably is look at each one of these categories, like albums, and kind of see the totals, right? Then look at CDs and vinyls and see a total. Then look at songs, right? Streaming. So we want to set it up so we can kind of analyze the data with subtotals, but also other math can be done too. So let's look at the steps here. So we have the current data, and what we want to do is use an outline view and add subtotals. Okay, so here's the subtotal. Again, it's under the outline group and subtotal. Oh, I got to select something first. I'm not selecting, right? Go to current month. Add subtotal sale amount column. So I think, the problem was I was over here. That's why. See, I'm over here. Just make sure you're in the active data. You can't just be floating around out there. So that's why it didn't work. Okay, so now when you do subtotal, you can see it's asking for a parameter. Every time this changes, see sales type, that's where it's going to make the total row. So that makes sense, right? And then we want to see, like, maybe, I don't know if we want to calculate the months or something else. We want to calculate this column, right? So make sure that that one is selected there. Sales amount, makes sense. And now when we click it, you should get a total row for each one here. See that? And again, we can collapse these or expand them. So see right here with collapsed ones, we're just seeing the totals. Let's expand them again. Okay, does that make sense? And the other nice thing is that you don't only have to use sum. So you can do things like, well, let's see the highest one. Okay, so go to max, and now see 185, if you look through it, There it is. That's the highest one. So it's a great way to kind of, you know, pivot the data a little bit so you can see it in different ways. Someone may say to you, oh, well, you know, what was our average album sales? Oh, no problem. You know, you want to see the average? I'll show you. Just change this to average, click on it, and now bingo, albums average, $66. Okay, so right away you can see who's better and who's worse, something like that with the 66. So it's a pretty powerful tool to kind of pivot the data into different ways depending on, you know, a lot of times you might get questions if you're making a presentation and somebody may say, well, you know, who's the lowest? That's the person we got to work on. Who's the lowest one? Or, you know, how many are there or whatever. So there's all kinds of different functions that you can plug in. Let's go back to the sum one, which is the one they want, right? So that makes sense to everybody? So we're doing it in a change in this category. We're actually analyzing this category, and the math we're going to do is to sum a total. Good? And again, you can collapse or expand so that the data will become very concise. See, when you collapse it, you don't see any, you know, background data, kind of subtotal stuff going on. And if someone says, well, you know, let's really take a look at the CD and vinyl data again, you can just expand it. And you can also change the math if you want to go in there and change to a different function. Okay, everybody happy with that? So that's a pretty powerful tool. And then to prepare the current month worksheet for printing, actually, let me just expand everything so it hopefully looks back to the way I want to make sure like anything that they tell you to print or whatever should look a certain way. Okay, good. So to prepare for printing, we're going to change the margin to 2.25. Obviously, that's a piece of cake, right? So custom margin, they want to change the right margin to 2.25. Make sure you're consulting the right margin. And I would just type this one in. I don't know if it's available. It probably is available if you scroll through it, but at this point, it's probably easier just to, because it's so far away. So they want a big margin. Probably that has something to do with the fact that you might be, you know, taking notes over here, right? So there's our really big margin. You may want to leave that so people can say, well, I want to make a note or something about a certain category or whatever. All right, good. And now we're up to the last thing, which is saving it. So on the Mac, it's a little different. If you're on a PC, you can go to File, and then in the File thing, you can show the properties. You'll actually go to something called the Backstage View. It's still under File here, just looks a little different in Excel. Sorry, in the Mac. So if we go to Properties, you can see all these properties are here. So if I wanted, know why I can't do a read-only file here, because that's the way you could do the mark as final. You would make this a read-only file. But in the summary data, you can add metadata here. So if someone's searching for this, they can find my name, my author's name. And normally it will have my name here. That's another weird thing, because it usually knows your machine. So you can type your name there. And then what they ask you to type here is in the category quarterly revenue. Okay.
Can you just show how you got it there? Because I lost that.
Yeah, you get it under File, but in the System menu, right? So remember, some of it's a little confusing. Like there's an insert at the top menu here that says Excel, the Apple menu kind of. That's called the System menu. And then there's insert, obviously, in the ribbon. So don't get confused. Sometimes there's, the same ones are there. But you want to go up to the System menu, which says Apple, Excel, and then click on File. And the last choice is Properties. So in the Properties, you can go to the Summary, and under Category, they want you to type quarterly sales. You can put comments in here. You can do all kinds of other things. And this is stuff that, will help a search engine, find these things. There's some statistics. Tells you like the basic structure of the sheet. You can add some custom things in there too. Not as powerful as the pieces. I don't know. I could probably try to figure it out. But if you wanted to make a read-only file, you could do it like that. You could also do it, with, let's see, if you go to Save As, you can do, for instance, you could save it as a web page here. You could also make it back compatible, right? So if you save it as an earlier version of Excel, you can make it back compatible so that you can open it up like this guy here, I guess, would work. Good. That's how you can do the read only. Look at that. So right here you can say read only. Okay, that's under options on the Mac. So now when I save it, I'll replace it for now. So let's close it. I'll quit out of Excel. And now if I open it up again, it should tell me right away that it is a read-only file. It's not the right file. Sorry about that.
Professor, can I ask you something? She's not asking us to save it as a read-only file, right?
No, she's not. She's not. I just wanted to tell you guys. I don't know. Maybe I saw that it might be in the B one that they ask you to do that. Sometimes they're slightly different. I usually go on the idea that they're pretty much the same. But I just wanted to show you guys that you can do it that way. This way, obviously you know, for a document like this, you kind of want to think about protecting it. You don't want people changing it for no reason. I don't know why it disappeared now. But you get the idea, right? Everybody knows what I was, kind of, even though it's not even in the project, which I guess doesn't make a lot of sense either. But I did want you guys to just understand what was happening. Here's the file. Let's see if it opens up. Yeah, see, it tells you right away. It's a read-only file. Okay, so when you open it, a read-only file means just that. If you try to change it and then save it, it should tell you it's read-only. See? But of course, this is easy to get around. All you got to do is a save as. So it's not like protection with a password, right? It's not the same level of protection at all. Someone can just, change the file name and easily change it. But it's just a little reminder, we're done. We finally finished. Make it a read-only file. Good? And then the last step is to do a final protection on the whole workbook. And that is going to be under the Review tab here. And here we go, Changes. So Protect Workbook here. You can protect, again, the individual sheets, but I want to protect the entire worksheet. And this time they do want a password, and the password is MusicBot. And I usually like to show my password when I'm typing it in so I can see how I'm messing it up. And of course, they want you to verify it again. Type it the same way. It's capital M, USIC, capital BOT. Okay, and make sure Protect Structure is there. So now again, the whole sheet is protected now. The whole book actually is protected. Okay, so you can see if I try again to change anything, it should be totally protected. Yes, what's the question?
I see that my quarter one worksheet, it doesn't have the lock. Maybe I missed that step. Is that something I can add now, or?
Yeah, you can add it. You know what? I think it's just because I kind of opened and closed it again. So, if you follow the instructions, you should be fine. I think it comes out with one of them locked already. So the original document, quarter one, is locked.
Oh, okay. So should I just lock it now so it marks me right, or maybe I'll see.
Yeah, I would go through the steps. I don't want to, I don't want to give you guys too many shortcuts either. I want you to do the actual assignment. So go through the steps, and it's just more logical, obviously. Let me tell you something. It's a lot better when you do it yourself instead of just following me. When you follow me, you are, kind of running, trying to follow, and you're not really getting the information as well, I don't think. So I would caution you about, just trying to get it done with me. I'd rather you just watch and understand what's going on, maybe take some notes, what I would do is maybe take some notes to the past, say things like, well, it's, insert link, something like that. And then later on when you do it, you'll just remember it a lot better because you'll be actively doing it on your own instead of just, rotely following me. Does that make sense? It'll pay off in the long run, I think. One way is this idea like, oh, let me just, finish. But I don't think that's really the, again, the best objective, to just finish, right? You want to make sure that you are not only finishing it, but also, understanding what's going on. So, good. So what else can we tackle here? Anybody else have any other questions? You want to review something again, or you feeling comfortable? Like I said, this one is a pretty easy one. There's no formulas, there's no calculations. It's more cosmetic kind of approach in this chapter, where it's, more the package, what's viewable, how it's viewable, what's locked, what's not locked, how it's going to print, how it's going to look, all those kind of things. And of course, that's really important too, because people judge a book by its cover. People, what do you do when you open up your, monthly credit card statement, right? It looks professional. You know where to look for things like, where's this, where's that, where's the minimum payment, where's the balance, all those kind of things. And you take it seriously, because it looks professional. It's not sloppy. It's not, there's no spelling errors, all those kind of things. So, if you have your own company and you want to send an invoice out to someone, you want them to have the same, impression of professionalism from your brand and take you seriously when it comes down to paying you on time, right? All those kind of things. So I think, if you send them a written invoice that's handwritten, it's not going to have the same communication, kind of effect or impact as something that looks really professional the way it's laid out and formatted. Does that make sense to everybody? So are there any comments or questions?
Could you show me quickly how to get the group titles
Yes.
back on?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me share the screen again.
Mm-hmm.
Go back in there. So you want to group the various, are you talking about the grouping the worksheets or grouping the rows where you get the subtotals?
I mean grouping in the ribbon, actually, where you have home, insert, view.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Sure,
yeah.
Joanna. Absolutely. Yeah, so what you want to do is go to, you can see they're there now, right? So you go to the Excel, the system menu, right next to the Apple. I'm sorry, it's actually under, oh yeah, it is under there, I'm sorry. So it's the Excel and then Preferences, and then View. Okay, so in the authoring group here, the View, and then the last choice, Group Titles. In ribbon, show Group Titles. Okay, with that selected, then when you close this up, you should see the titles there. So let me take them away. Okay, so I'm going to go to Excel, Preferences, View, Group Titles, and then when I close this dialog, they're not there. And again, it's just, it's harder to kind of figure out where you are when you don't have those. I like those group titles in View. So again, to see them, we're going to go to the System menu, Excel, Preferences, View, and then Group Titles. In ribbon, show Group Titles. Okay, you don't have to confirm anything. As soon as you close the dialog box, there they are. Okay, so when you refer to these things, it would be, say when I make my little thing, I say to myself like home, and then I put a dash or a little greater than sign to show me like I'm moving in that direction. So it would be like if I wanted to do something like, insert a link, I would know it's going to be insert, and then, here it happens to be the link group, and there's only one thing available there. But let's say it was the chart group, and then there's a whole lot of charts available. Good. So a lot of people call that the breadcrumb trail, right? So you want to get to something, you got to know, it's going to be insert, then chart group, then pie chart, then 3D pie, whatever. So the idea that you're kind of following a series of steps to get from one spot to another. Good question, Joanna.
I'm also having an issue with getting quarter 3 back. Is it because because of the final step that we protected the workbook, or?
Could be if it's protected, but if you try to do something, it should ask you for that music bot password. Try to unprotect it, maybe. If you unprotect it, maybe it'll ask you for the password, and then you can type it in.
It says protect workbook, so I don't know if it's. Do I have to unprotect quarter 2?
What's happening? You're missing one of the quarters?
Yeah, I want to go back into 3 and edit it, but I can't.
Did you make it a read-only file?
I didn't.
Yeah, you didn't. Okay. So right now where I am, right, let's just see where we are here. So I'm going to right-click on there, and you can see unhide is available, and there quarter 3 comes up. So that's pretty much.
Unhide is not available for me.
It's not available? So when you right-click on the other quarters, you don't see unhide?
No, it's not there.
Okay. Try this then. Let's make sure you're in the data, and then go to Home tab, Cells Group, Format, and click on Unprotect Sheet. See if that. Oh, I know what it probably is then. Actually, try this. Go
because
to.
It says Protect Sheet. It doesn't say Unprotect. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, try this one. Go to the Review tab. Okay, so go to the Review tab, because I think we locked it. That's why. So if you click on Unprotect Sheet now, there. Try it now if you do that. So now you should be able to control click on another one and see unhide. You see it?
So only under quarter 2 it says Unprotect Sheet. So should I do that?
You can do that, but I don't know. That shouldn't stop you from unhiding 3 though.
Yeah.
So just try right or control clicking on quarter 1. Okay, do that. When you right click on quarter 1, you don't see unhide, it's grayed.
Yeah, it's not letting me.
How about hide? Hide is available, right?
No, none of them.
None of them are available. So something is happening there where, we must have locked something, and I forget which one it is, but you should be able to get it back by unprotecting. So under the Review tab, make sure that everything is unprotected when you go to Changes in Review. Make sure that you unprotect everything. You may have to enter that password again. The other thing that you can do, remember, and this might not be the greatest because you're gonna have to do your work over again, but you can always just open up the file that's downloaded from Cengage, because that'll be the original. Just download another original file, and that one should be okay. You understand what I'm saying? Because something that happened that we did, that you did, you know what I'm saying? You somehow locked it where you weren't able to do that. I'm not familiar with that. I mean, even if I'm just trying to see here, if I go on mine over here, right, and then I protect the workbook with a password. I'm going to protect the workbook with a password and say okay. So now it's protected, it's locked, but if I click on quarter 4, oh yeah, see, I can't see. Those are not available there. So yours must be locked still. I see they're both grayed, hide and unhide, which makes sense, right? Because one of those sheets could have sensitive information in it. So it might be something like it contains full social security numbers or something like that. So you don't want people just like, oh, let me, open this up or whatever. So this is locked by a password now, and I can't actually get to it. So now let's see what happens if I want to unprotect it here. See, it's asking me for the password. So when you click on that, Protect Workbook, don't you see the password dialog box? And then it wants you to type in Music Bot. Yeah. So try that. That should do it then. Once you do that, you should be okay. Now if I control click, see, hide and unhide are available again. Right, so just put your password in, and then you should be able to. Yeah, then it has access. Yeah. That's it.
Thank you.
So hopefully that was an interesting chapter on how to format those worksheets and protect them. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. Good luck with the work.